Hey friend, welcome back. I'm glad to be with you here today. I hope that you've had some water, some real food, and that you are breathing. I even catch myself every time I record a podcast holding my breath. So when I say let's breathe, I'm actually saying I need to breathe. So breathe with me. I'm talking today on this little quickie solo episode about an apology that I hear parents repeating all the time. They really don't need to. It's things like, I'm sorry I didn't catch this sooner. I'm sorry I wasn't a better parent. I'm sorry that this is happening to you. And I think, my friend, it is time to put that speech down. What I want to talk about is the kind of difference between real accountability versus this really unhelpful self-shaming. That could be thoughts, it could be words. And the difference is, let's just sort of lay the groundwork here. The difference is taking real accountability for things that you actually did or that actually caused harm is important and it's valid and we need to do it. Maybe you didn't handle your emotions so well. I could say that I had to apologize several times for that. So maybe that happened. Maybe you knowingly left them in or put them in a dangerous situation with all kinds of circumstances around that. Or you ignored their request for help because you weren't actually sure how sincere it was, or many other things. So those are things that you can take accountability for without, though, flogging yourself at the same time. We are all doing the best we can with the information we have at the time. So if those things did happen, if you have things you actually need to apologize for, do not send yourself into a shame and blame spiral. So that, taking accountability for things that actually did happen, is different from assigning this blanket self-blame and taking responsibility for things like your kids' choices, their biology, life's timing, a medical condition, a natural event that occurred, or a disease that you didn't cause. Taking on those things is a futile effort and it robs you of the energy that you need to deal with the difficult things sitting right in front of you. Now, sometimes I see parents sort of collapse these two things together. They jumble it all together. And the guilt becomes a permanent, just this hum in the background. It's always there, and they're just always thinking about it. And it gets in the way of actually helping your child. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to get caught up in that spiral. If you listen to my solo episode on anger, it was recently in the summer of 2026. If you're a real-time listener, you've probably heard it. If you heard that episode, you know how we talked about how anger can hide and we often try to bury it and stuff it down. I have really seen that unlike anger, guilt and shame typically don't hide. We're pretty vocal about it. They are loud, they are constant. Parents will tell me and Kathy and others unprompted how they failed, how this is probably their fault, how they wish they would have done all these things different. And if they had, there would have been a different outcome. How they don't want anyone in the family to know what's going on. How they wish that they could just hop in a time machine and go back and do things differently. Trust me, I get it. I spent a lot of time there in that place, in the wish I could rewind zone, until I realized that it was this chronic loop of unanswered questions, of frustration, And I think all of that comes from, I don't know what I'm going to call a hindsight bias, that idea of if I had known then what I know now. And we can get caught there. It's so easy to get caught there. There's also cultural messaging that we receive as parents that a kid's struggle reflects our parenting skill level. And then there's also the sheer helplessness of the situation, just looking for somewhere, anywhere to land. We as humans, we really don't love ambiguity, and we don't love feelings and emotions that we don't know what to do with. They're just sort of free floating out there. It feels really unsettling. For me, it feels really disorienting because I like to feel grounded and I like to know what's going on. So what I would really love to do is shift from this idea of guilt as guilt to guilt as misdirected responsibility. Guilt says, I did something wrong. We would love to be able to take responsibility because then we could go back and fix it. I used to think if I caused it, then I must be able to fix it. And of course, that isn't true. But what makes us feel helpless is when something is happening to our kids and we didn't have control over it happening, and we don't have control over making it stop. It is the maddening loop that I was in, that I see parents trapped in, that misdirected responsibility for something they cannot possibly take responsibility for. What I often see is parents are carrying grief or fear. Both of those things are true. And they're mistaking it for guilt. These are easy things to get tangled up together. So I'm going to say that again. Parents are sometimes carrying grief or fear, and you are mistaking it for guilt. Hey friend, if you've ever finished an episode of Hope Stream and thought, but what do I actually do when they come home tonight? That is what the stream was built for. The stream is a private online membership for moms who are navigating all the same difficult things you are. Like those nights when your kiddo comes home at 2 a.m. and you don't know what to do and things are escalating. It's where knowing about things like craft and the invitation to change become real and you start actually using it. And right now you can try it free for 2 weeks. No credit card required and no long-term commitment. There's nothing to cancel if you decide it isn't for you. What you will have is full access to our special community and the women who have been or are in your exact kitchen situation. They've had those difficult conversations. Even on your busiest, hardest weeks, there is something here that fits for you. You can engage as little or as much as you want, and of course, you get to show up in the way that feels best for you. Go to hopestreamcommunity.org/try to get that free 2-week offer, and I will see you inside. Okay, let's get back to the show. Now, how can you tell what you're really experiencing? Here's a litmus test. If the thing that you are apologizing for is something that you couldn't have known, or a choice that was not yours to make or not yours to make alone, that's not an apology. That is self-punishment. I'm sure you might be a pro at this, okay? If there's something that you couldn't have known or a choice that wasn't yours to make or not yours to make alone, that is not an apology. It is self-punishment. The skill here is to separate the apology from the action, basically. You can say to yourself, is there a specific nameable thing that I did that I can actually repair? And if there is, and sometimes there is, that is a real, limited apology. You make it sincerely, you make it clearly once, and you don't let it hang around in your head and in your heart for years to come. If there is no specific, nameable thing that you did that can be repaired, then that energy that you're expending needs to go somewhere else. It can go into how you show up differently today, not into relitigating the past. This takes a lot of work, I know, speaking from experience. It was so much easier for me to spend time excavating the past, my actions, my decisions, my choices that I thought somehow could have caused my son's issues. That was a lot easier for me than what I really needed to do, which was to look at my current day actions, my behaviors, and my responses to what was going on in our family. It was kind of like an escape hatch that I would go down as a distraction from the work I really desperately needed to do. This became real in my life when my son went to his first treatment at the age of 16. He had been in trouble with the law for drug trafficking. He had run away multiple times. He was in trouble at school. I mean, it was constant trouble in our home. And my husband and I made the decision to gift him the experience of wilderness therapy. It felt like a boulder. I don't even know. Is there something bigger than a boulder? A mountain, maybe, of shame and guilt was sitting on my shoulders. Like, what kind of mom? What kind of mom has a kid who does all of these crazy things? And then she has to have her child transported to the desert in another state. I spent weeks, months, in self-flagellation mode when what I really, really needed to be doing was being kind to myself. I had not yet learned the art of self-compassion. That's what I should have been doing. I should have been paying attention to my other kids, my other relationships, and staying present with what my son was experiencing. I could do none of that because I was so consumed with guilt. The good news is, there's always good news, right? The good news is, if you have a lot of guilt, you can use it. It can actually be helpful because you can use that guilt to sharpen how you show up now. That's what I needed to be doing. Versus guilt where it is just corrosive, where you are just rehashing a past that has no editing capabilities. Carrying this constant guilt actually makes you less steady and less useful to your kid, not more, and certainly not more devoted. I will just go on the record here to tell you that there is no award for being the most guilt-ridden parent on the block or on the planet, because if there was, I would have already won it. There is no reward. So I'm going to give you one concrete tactic that you can use because, again, I never want you to leave the Hope Stream podcast flailing. So grab something to write with, grab your phone, however you do it, write down the actual sentence that's ruminating and running through your head of self-blame. So write that down. You can even press pause on your little podcast machine. Write it down, whatever that sounds like for you. Maybe it is, I should have seen things sooner. Of course, I should have known this. I'm a professional in the field. Whatever you're blaming yourself for. Then I want you to cross out every word that is not a fact that you controlled. What is left, if you are looking at your statement, is usually very short, or it might actually be empty. So that is something that you can do if you are feeling the heaviness, that weight, the boulder, the mountain of guilt that is sitting on you. My friend, here's a permission slip to let the guilt go. You can care enormously and genuinely and still not owe an apology for a struggle that isn't yours. This week, I want you to catch yourself if you're starting that internal apology. Ask yourself, is this mine to own, or am I just holding on to it? And then go back to that exercise of writing it out and then crossing out anything that isn't a fact. Okay, my friend, I am so glad that you were here with me today. Do you want the resources from this episode? If you do, head to hopestreamcommunity.org, click podcast, and you will find this episode along with 300 or so others and every link that we mention. And if you haven't tried it yet, we offer a free 2-week trial of our online community for moms, The Stream. No credit card needed, no commitment. Just go to hopestreamcommunity.org/try and we can get you set up with a free 2-week membership. And if this is your first time here, or if this whole approach feels new and uncomfortable, that is normal. You can grab a free ebook I wrote called Worried Sick. It will help you start seeing new ways to respond to your child and find new ways to approach this whole situation that feels very confusing. You can find that at hopestreamcommunity.org/worried. You, my friend, are an elite level parent. You are doing an incredible job. You do things most parents never have to do. And I am so honored to be walking this path with you. Take ridiculously good care of yourself, and I will meet you right back here next week.